So is the format exactly what we expected it to be? Hey guys, Otak here, back with another video, and today we're going to actually do a bit of a recap on this past weekend's YCSs. We had 3 of them this time around because it was a big celebration for the 300th YCS, and quite honestly, there were a good handful of surprises at these events. So today we're going to be taking a look at them and really seeing where the format has settled. I was realistically going to do this video last week for the first wave of regionals, but I didn't think that was fair to really assess the format on the first wave of regionals after a Forbidden Limitless and a brand new set drop, because realistically people either don't have their cards yet, or quite frankly, we just don't know where the format is at yet. But before we do jump on into it though, I have noticed that a great deal of you that are watching this video right now are not currently subscribed to the channel. So if you like competitive-based content, whether it's in-depth guides, deck builds, and more, then consider subscribing to the channel for more. We are trying to break 3,000 subscribers as quickly as possible, so any and all support is greatly appreciated. But also, don't forget to leave a like on this video and comment down below what you're playing for this current format. However, if you are already subscribed to the channel and you would like to show further support, then consider joining my community Discord or using my TCG affiliate link. Or if you would like to save 50% off the next time you buy a new deck box, playmat, or even a brand new binder, then consider using my Dueling Guard affiliate link. All links be in the description down below. Alright, so we do have 3 YCSs to take a look at. We have YCS Dortmund, YCS Guadalajara, and YCS Richmond. So to start with YCS Dortmund, funny enough, we actually don't have the first place deck list, but it is Vanquish Soul Canine, so you can have a pretty good idea of what it's looking like. But as you can see here, for the top, 64 decks, I mean, realistically, top 8's the only, topping that matters in terms of, most likely how Konami's going to shape a ban list in the future. But, I mean, Dracotail's taken up 2/3 of the slots for most of the top 64. If we're looking at top 8, even still, it's 5 out of 8. That's still pretty much 2/3 of the topping lists. And then obviously we have Malice getting a slot in there on the top 8. Radiant Typhoon found its way in there, and Vanquish Soul found its way in there. And it's crazy because everyone kept saying, oh, Malice is dead, Malice is dead, White Binder is gone. And people have been saying that for a while, that if Malice had White Binder banned, then it would be a dead deck. But people really showed out, because if you realistically look down here, I mean, Malice got into the top 8 slot, but if you scroll down even further, there were 2 Malices in the top 32 slots. There was another Malice in top 64. Malice is still hanging around, and quite frankly, it's gonna be that way because we are in a format right now where banishing resources is super strong. I'm not going to say that they did the heavy lifting, but I definitely think that a lot of the credit towards Malice's success at these YCSs is due in part to the fact they can play Dimensional Shifter and a Dimensional Fissure, cards that are going to shut decks like Dracotail out of the game entirely. Not to mention the deck also can just play Impulse, one of the most powerful hand traps in the current game. And yeah, so that's mainly due in part to Malice's success, also because everyone was kind of underrating the deck. They weren't playing Lancia in their side deck, but at the same time, committing Lancia to your side deck for a deck that realistically you should be able to handle with just normal hand traps at this point, just doesn't feel worth, especially when you want to shape your side deck predominantly towards the most dominant threat in the format, which is Dracotail branded. And that seems to be the theme we are seeing the most success with, is Dracotail branded, not the Dracotail Magistus branded or anything like that. And the extra decks all still pretty much look the same. It just comes down to tech choices. I think we're actually seeing a lot of in these builds is Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, because they're just turning, if they're going second, they're turning the Fallen of Black Dragon and the Ecclesia into the Exciton and just trying to nuke the board, so that way they can actually play into a board, which is really funny and genuinely terrifying at the same time. But we're seeing Albulananis really being used in these deck lists. There's nothing quite as powerful as just setting Albaz face down defense and then eating your opponent's entire board, because you can fuse with your own face down defense position monsters, so you can contact fuse the Albulananis with your face down Albaz and all of your opponent's dragon monsters, like Secretarion and their Sanctifier. Well, not their Sanctifier, because it can't be used as fusion material, but All of their dragons like are Thalion as well. It's just really, really strong. And then I was wondering if we were going to see this, but at least in Dortmund, we saw a Radiant Typhoon Fiendsmith brew running around. I figured that we would see something like this at least running around. I just didn't think top tables. But yeah, they can play Fiendsmith. They can play Mellow Melody because it's a rank 3 light fiend, and a lot of their monsters are level 3s, and the only one that really locks them is the Crocea. So if they start with Fiendsmith early, then they can just do all they want to do. And Fiendsmith seems to be very attractive in this current format in the terms of like it can put up cards on the field that can stop Dracotail from really performing. Like if they just don't open Fimina, then you can put up Caesar and like you can stop two cards that are going to summon like Rahu or even Kitu or the Fimina. You can stop 2 cards. Yes, it negates activation, so if they just open 2 Rahu, then you know they're broken. But again, the Fiendsmith cards seem to be pretty attractive in this current format for that specific reason. Hell, even Yummy Fiendsmith got top 16 at Dortmund. But on top of that, the Fiendsmith cards are actually able to put up some pretty interesting stuff. Like they're able to put up like Invader of Darkness to prevent your opponent from activating quick play spells. They're able to put up End of Anubis. Same scenario, just like Floodgates. The Fiendsmith cards are able to do Floodgate related cards at the same time. And then the Fiendsmith, and then Yummy can, of course, bridge into Fiendsmith pretty well. In terms of, like, decks that topped, though, at least in the top 8, I think Dortmund was pretty on par with where we expected things to be going into Burst Protocol, with Dracotail Branded being the most popular deck going into this format, with Vanquishful Canine able to put up a good fight. And Vanquishful Canine actually won this event, and I also believe it won Guadalajara. And funny enough, because it was the most... it was the deck with the biggest target on his back, Branded Dracotail didn't actually win any of these events. We'll get more into it when we talk about Richmond and Guadalajara. But yeah, it didn't win any of these events, and it's simply because it was projected to be the best performing deck going into this format, and I think it still is. But it's going to be kind of like the Malice scenario where, because it's so powerful, we are side decking like crazy for this deck, and we're doing everything in our power to prevent this deck from actually winning an event. That being said, I think unlike Malice, it will see a lot more event success and win an event here or there, as opposed to Malice, where it took literally to the finish line to do it. A couple little of last touches to really talk about before we jump to the Guadalajara topping list is that here in Dortmund, we did see Joshua Schmidt. He was on the feature match, but he actually ended up getting top 16 with Sky Striker. Sky Striker actually is pretty powerful in this format. I mean, Striker's always been like pretty powerful of a deck. I would say it's a tier 2 strategy because they are able to play the Radiant Typhoon cards. They're able to play the Fallen and the Virtuous. They're playing like all of these quick play spells. They also, funny enough, have an out to Liger Dancer. They have an in-archetype Kaiju. They're able to play Crown. They're able to play a lot of like really powerful cards. Droplet is just heavily beneficial. Like, this is just a really strong deck, and I think it was definitely a meta call for Joshua to take this to the event, and it definitely paid off. Sure, he didn't get top 8, he didn't win the event, but top 16 is still really impressive. We're going to talk about this as well as we jump into the other events as well, but Mermail is still hanging around. The brand new Penguin gave this deck a big boost, but I mean, water is still water, and I've been mentioning this for a minute now. It is able to still rip cards from your hand. It's able to still set up a lock, because Water Statue was not banned because of water. It was banned because it was searchable off of 7 Tachyon for Pyramid Tsurugi. This deck is, funny enough, playing a lot of outs to Radiant Typhoon. It's playing Spiritualism, a card that I actually meant to talk about last week but just didn't get around to it, but it's playing anti-magic arrows, which is interesting because the deck isn't playing like enough spells to really capitalize on that. But no, Water is still hanging around, and we did see Water a good handful of times on feature matches for the events, but yeah, it's still hanging around, it's still creeping around, and I do think that a good pilot will be able to win events with this deck. Let's go ahead and jump on into Guadalajara. We unfortunately don't have a lot of deck lists for this format. We know what got top 8, but we don't have many deck lists. I unfortunately want to see this Yummy Fiendsmith deck list, but it has not been posted yet. But Vanquish Soul Canine once again won Guadalajara. We already know what won Richmond, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I mean, as you see here, Yummy Fiendsmith got second place. Malice again got top 4. Radiant Typhoon got top 4. And funny enough, in the top 8, there's only 2 Dracotail brandeds for Guadalajara. And this was actually a little bit surprising. Like, pure branded made its way on in. And then Radiant Typhoon and Fiendsmith, like, I think if you're going to play Radiant Typhoon on its own, you're probably not playing pure. You're probably playing like Fiendsmith, or you're playing the build that won Richmond, Yummy with Tri-Brigade cards. But yeah, I mean, there's unfortunately not a lot to talk about for Guadalajara because there's not a lot of deck lists. Like, nothing's been, like, 3 deck lists have actually been posted, and we only know what got top 8 and then 2 in the 16 and 32 category, which is rather unfortunate. I'd really like to see, you know, what happened at the 3rd YCS that happened, because I think we really only got coverage for Dortmund and Richmond. I don't think we got coverage for Guadalajara, but yeah, we'll just jump on over to Richmond here. Richmond, as we know, Yummy won the entire event. Everyone kept saying Yummy is dead because Snatchies to 1. It was the most harsh hit on the ban list, because people didn't realize that you only need the 1 Snatchy. You don't need multiple, you just need the 1. Now, thankfully, we do have literally every possible deck list available, it would appear. But yeah, there was still some pretty interesting things that made it on in. In top 4, we got Memento Radiant Typhoon. This is a deck that was still kind of like doing things in Genesis format, but Radiant Typhoon has a bunch of level 3s, so they can make the big Gabanga, but they are also just able to do really good stuff. Dracotail branded still made it in top 4. It was the only Dracotail branded list in top 4, but there were 2 in top 8. Malice had 2 representations in top 8 at the Richmond event. Luna Light, funny enough, creeped its way on in to top 8 at the event. So I would say that even though Dracotail branded is probably the best performing, or like the most consistent and the most dominant threat in this format, I would say we have a pretty diverse format based on the results of these YCSs. Simply because like Dracotail branded and Radiant Typhoon are such high power level, people are siding to face these decks and knock them out of the ringer. So because of that, I think we still have like a pretty diverse format. Yummy is still very much hanging around in the format, and I think it's a misconception for people to think it's bad. But we actually, funny enough, from Willie, we still saw Yummy Radiant Typhoon Tri-Brigade still in top 16, so there were 2 representations for that, which appears to probably be the best way to play Yummy going into the next format. But branded Dracotail, branded, just like probably a heavier branded and like an engine of Dracotail most likely, made it into top 16. This was the one that on the feature match we saw them make the big Dogmatic Calamity or whatever and just OTK Yummy. And honestly, I would argue that Richmond was probably the closest to what we expected the format to be out of the 3 YCSs. We got Pack here in the top 16, or sorry, top 32 with the Magistus build of Dracotail, which was definitely the most underrepresented, probably because it just has more crutches. We had top 32 with Fur Hire Canine making its way on in. And I do real quick want to give a big shout out to Swole TCG. I'll tag him in the video. I do want to give a big shout out to him. He got in top 32 with Vanquish Soul Canine, predominantly Canine, as he's made it very clear it was a bigger Canine package, and like Vanquish Soul was just kind of there to buff it up a little bit. But yeah, no, big shout out to him. He got top 32 at this event. I know he was really gunning for like the topping position. He definitely got there. Hopefully next time he wins the event, but needless to say, good job to him. And if you're watching this video, TJ, again, congratulations, man. And now, as we're reaching like the bottom of top 64, I mean, you guys are seeing a lot. And I mean, we got Yummy Radiant Typhoon here, Yummy Radiant Typhoon, Yummy Radiant Typhoon, Malice Radiant Typhoon, because Malice was actually playing these cards for a little bit as well. We're seeing Radiant Typhoon predominantly being a package, rather its own standalone deck. And that's probably going to be the case going forward, is like it's going to be a package to bolster the power of other decks, because Radiant Typhoon just has the ability to spit guys onto the board going first, and it's actually pretty unfair. But I mean, again, we see a lot of Malices in the top 64 at Richmond. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just in like top 64 and top 32. We got Another 6, 7, 8. We got like 8 Malice representations in top 64 alone. That's pretty crazy. Funny enough, Cool Tunes actually made its way into top 64. Congratulations to that guy. This is a deck that's very much on a uphill battle in this format, very much so. Like, if it can get off to the races, if it can stack the deck, if it can do everything it's trying to do, then this is a good deck. Funny enough, it can actually play the Fallen Virtuous tech card as well, which is really cool. But yeah, no, that deck has an uphill battle until the brand new Blazing Dominion set comes out in like May. And I mean, we do see a bunch of big names here. We see like Jesse Cotton got top 64, Milano got top 64, Ruben got top 64. A lot of the bigger names kind of teeter off once we get closer to like the top 16 mark. I mean, Lucas Sacco got top 16, Willie got top 16. And Kamal obviously being the one that brought it all home. Julian, our current world champion, being in the top 8 slot, he performed very well. The Dragon's Mind and the Exciton Knight, I believe, were like the big MVPs of the current format. But Julian's also playing Super Poly to out like yummy boards and stuff like that. Super Poly is also still really powerful this format, especially in like the mirror match if you're playing Dracotail, because you're already playing the Secretarion in your extra deck to just eat away your opponent's end board. And the last little note I want to make on the current format is just, quite frankly, decks are kind of expensive again, post Burst Protocol as opposed to pre-Burst Protocol. Like, Yummy is probably like the cheapest deck right now, but because we're playing Radiant Typhoon cards, it is getting a little more on the pricier end of things, because, I mean, Chance like $10 a copy, and you don't have to play like the Crocea, which is like another $50 on its own. But Yummy as a whole, like the most expensive Yummy card is Marshmallow with like $25 backing it. And the Tri-Brigade cards on their own are not really that expensive, but like Dracotail Branded is really expensive because the Fallen White Dragon is like $80 a copy. It'll probably, you know, now that the hype's died down, it'll probably plateau a little bit. Secretarian, I think, is still like $25. Dracotail as a whole is still decently pricey, minus like the Malulu now. And of course, most of the branded cards are pretty affordable because they were reprinted in the Fallen Virtue structure deck. But like the new Ecclesia is like $25-ish. Sanctifier, until Maze comes out as of recording this video on Friday, is still like $35 on its own. Just like, decks are kind of closer to like the $400 or $500 mark again. And like, that's not a huge deal for people who are probably been playing the game for a couple years, because you probably have a lot of the cards that these decks are playing. A lot of the money is going towards like the non-engine, obviously. But if you're a brand new player coming into the game, a lot of these better decks are kind of pricing you out right now, unfortunately. Yeah, in terms of like power level and where we expected the format to really end up, I think Richmond was the closest compared to Dortmund and Guadalajara. Guadalajara, unfortunately, we don't really know what happened to Guadalajara other than top 8. And Dortmund was a little all over the place. It still had like pretty good representation of, you know, the deck that we expected to be the top dog, but there's still a lot of stuff kind of all over the place here. Like a lot of Malice, there's Mermail, Lunalight, Mitsurugi, funny enough, and then like Pure Radiant Typhoon. But I'm definitely curious to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. So definitely make sure, if you're not already, subscribe to the channel if this was a video you enjoyed and you would like to see more content like this. And again, leave a like on this video and comment down below your thoughts on the current format. Is things too narrow-minded with the Branded Dracotail, or do you think that it's actually a pretty diverse format? Other than that, I'll see you all in the next video. See ya.